And it's Lyndsey and Tom again. Today we're going to be talking about Raynauds disease. So basically, what is it? So it's basically where the small blood vessels in the extremities of your body, so your hands and your feet, fingers, toes, kind of them and kind of extents of your body, are oversensitive to even the slightest change in temperature. So the cold or sometimes even stress is a factor. So it basically causes what we call a Raynaud's attack, where the fingers can sometimes change colour. It's not always the case, but they can change from kind of white to blue to red. It's a really common condition and it can affect up to 10 million people in the UK. And it can have a real impact on your life depending on the extent of it. So you first of all got primary Raynauds disease. So primary is usually the less serious of the two different types of this condition. So it can often be kind of mild and manageable, and it isn't associated with any other health condition. It basically it's caused by disruptions in how the nervous system controls your blood vessels. So it could be inherited, or it could just kind of be a standalone kind of condition. And around 1 in 10 people with this primary condition go on to develop an autoimmune condition from it. You've then got the second type, which is secondary Raynaud's, and this is often associated with autoimmune conditions. So you've got your rheumatoid arthritis, and it can also be associated with diseases around the kind of arteries or carpal tunnel syndrome, which is very common in the construction industry. Kind of repetitive actions or vibrations when you're kind of using your hand tools, which have vibration on them. It can also be caused by kind of a secondary injury, and also kind of from smoking and some other medications. So what are the symptoms, Tom?
The symptoms are really simple. Usually get a change in the colour of your extremities, your hands, feet, toes, fingers, and obviously the cold. They'll be cold and numb. You can change colour, so you can get tingling or pain, pins and needles, and difficulty in moving that affected area. So usually, as you can see on the right, that photo, you can see quite clearly that changing colour of the fingers, the tips of the fingers there.
And how can you get diagnosed?
So your GP will probably place your hands in some cold water or cool air to see if they show any symptoms of Raynauds. The water obviously will be a certain degrees, and it'll be essentially a cold water challenge in essence. And they'll usually see for those different symptoms, those difficulty in moving the fingers, the colours of the extremity of the fingers, etc. And obviously blood tests can also be used to check any other conditions that might be causing the actual Raynauds as well.
So obviously it cannot be cured. So how do we manage this?
Yeah, so managing this is essentially to avoid all those cold environments. And if you obviously are in a situation, whether you have to work in a cold environment or something like that, then it's taking those precautions like wearing lots of thin layers and loose layers of clothing. What's really quite important to know, and you may or may not know this, but wearing thin layers of clothing and multiple layers of clothing will keep you warmer than one big layer. So if you were to wear one big coat, that's fantastic, but wearing 3 smaller, thinner layers will probably often keep you a lot warmer than one big thick layer. So same here, using gloves, using thick socks, etc. to keep those fingers warm. When it comes to feet and hands, layers aren't necessarily the best thing to do, purely because if you've got 2 or 3 layers of socks on, you're going to get a lot of rubbing in your feet, and your feet will also not be able to sweat. And if they can't sweat, your feet will get wet, and then the rubbing of the shoes will also cause things like blisters and what have you. So when it comes to feet and socks, try and keep one thick layer of socks or something, or gloves. And same here with managing it, obviously avoiding too much tea, coffee or cola, improving the circulation by stopping smoking. Drinking plenty of water will obviously allow you to increase your circulation as well. Certain channel blockers that you can take is essentially licensed for Raynauds disease, and there are drugs that can be prescribed commonly for the actual disease as well. So speak to your GP if you need any more help with this. They'll be able to guide you further. Usually the symptoms are nice and easy to diagnose or at least notice yourself, and then you can speak to your GP accordingly, and they'll be able to apply sort of further therapies and medications accordingly.
Cheers for that, Tom. Obviously something that's quite big in the construction industry, particularly with a lot of the work we do. So it's really good to kind of see some of the ways that we can manage this. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free to get in touch. And there's a lot of resources available there for you.